What's up, guys? Derek from Team Shift here with, who are we with?
Kachan.
Kachan. And what did you do tonight?
I went 4-0 at Millennium
At locals, we just ended. Everyone's gone.
Hey,
We're
dude,
just
it's
doing
not
this
just
in
the
back.
locals.
Yeah,
this is
it's
the
not.
locals where Case Von Kushon
Top 8 UDS player.
UDS player.
All right, let's see the deck.
All right, we got the 1 tour guide, really strong card. 1 seer, recycles your Burning Abyss monsters in grave. Usually Dante, sometimes Virgil if you make him. You got the 1 graph, he's okay. Outside of turn 1, he's another Burning Abyss name. You got the 1 Calcab, bounces back row, is a Burning Abyss name. You got the Barbar, best Burning Abyss monster in the deck by far. Wins in time all the time, Baybar. 1 Rubik, he's the tuner, he's a Burning Abyss name. 1 Alec, he negates monster effects, he's a Burning Abyss name. He was better in Zoo format, but that time is long past. 1 Libic, he specials a BA from your hand with its effects negated, so you can make other plays with him. He's a Burning Abyss monster. That's all the 1-ofs. 3 Farfa, really good Burning Abyss monster. Turns out, banishing your opponent's monsters for the turn is really strong. Sometimes...
If only it was permanent.
Yeah, oh, well, that would just be too strong then. You got 2 Skarm. I'm actually only playing 2 Skarm because there's not too many monsters you can actually search with him. So you don't want to draw too many of them and then be like, oh no, I can't do anything with these. And then milling 1 off of multiples feels really bad when you've normal summoned it that turn. And then it's also just like, there's only 12 other targets in the deck for it. He's okay still. And then for the Phantom Knights, you have the spread of 3 boots, 2 cloak, and then 2 gloves. I was always a fan of 2 gloves as opposed to the 1 gloves that everybody did, because it's just a lot more relevant. In the graveyard, he's any of these in the graveyard, which is also really strong. It lets you make plays. He's an extender, because you can send like traps and then send another one. 1 Fairy Tale Snow, because this card is super annoying to play against, so why not play it in a deck that mills?
So just play 1, you know.
Yeah, just play 1. So, you know, you can send it off Beatrice, so it doesn't really matter. 2 main deck Radians, because Masterpiece is really annoying, and it turns out he's a dark monster, so you can banish him with a lure if you happen to draw him going first, or if you go second and your opponent puts out a boss monster, you're just like, okay, here's a Radiant main deck, game 1. They never expect it. 3 Ghost Ogre. She's pretty good. I actually don't have ashes or anything, and I'm poor, so I don't have any good hand traps, so I just run this instead. It's still okay. It hits Diagram, it hits Hanger. It does enough. 3 Allures, because you have Phantom Knights and PKs, or BAs, whoopsie. 3 Twin Twister. I was considering Cosmic instead, but I think that discarding a card and destroying 2 is a lot more relevant than just banishing one of the cards instead. Because, like, you don't actually care about the pendulum effects of all the magicians that everybody's playing nowadays. Because, like, they destroyed a face-up card on your field. Oh no, they destroyed your Dante. I guess you'll just add another card back from your graveyard. And they'll be like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that. And then for 1-ofs, Book of Moon, because you can kind of lock people out of the extra deck with this, and it also is a spell out to Masterpiece. Rhoda, search out your PKs. Foolish, to send anything you need to the graveyard at a moment's notice. And 1 Emergency Teleport. This card's actually really funny. It summons specifically just Ghost Ogre from the deck, and you can use it as a combo extender if they like Ash your tour guide or something, so you can still overlay for a Dante. Or you can use it for link material, which I actually ended up doing pretty often, so that you can push for game.
Or Ghost Ogering from the field.
Or Ghost Ogering your opponent from the field. Yeah, it turns out Ghost Ogre can tribute herself from the field to destroy something, so if your opponent doesn't know that, and you summon it with E-Telly, and they're just like Diagram effect.
They'll make bad plays.
Yeah, they'll make bad plays, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, Ghost Ogre, tribute from field to destroy, and I don't know, I guess people just don't read their cards. For the traps, 1 Phantom Knight's Wing. I always like running 1 other Phantom Knight trap, because all their banishing to special from grave effects are once per turn, but sometimes you need that extra little monster to push for game, or like for another overlay material. So I run 1 of this, because I don't really like the other continuous one that much. It just gives 800 attack, and prevents it from being destroyed by battle. If I wanted that, I would just run the 3 Fog Blade, which are right here. Fiendish Blade, it's pretty good. I play 3 Dynamiscus. This runs double purpose. It's really good in the Paleo matchup, because if you're playing against Paleo, you just send this with Beatrice, and now you've essentially shut out 1 Paleo from their graveyard, which is actually really relevant if they've opened like mediocre, or even if they opened well, like just having it in the grave to threaten that they can't Paleo summon is really strong. And then for the 1-of, because they're really strong, Torrential Tribute, wipes the board. You don't care about your board, they care about theirs. Why
You
not?
get your effects no matter what.
You get your effects, yeah, and then the warning, because you can warning Masterpiece or Pendulum summons.
Only way of getting over Masterpiece is by negating its summon.
That's not true. We have Book of Moon if they don't tribute a spell for
Alright,
it.
what about the extra deck?
Extra deck, you got the one Super Dante. He's really sparkly. Nobody knows how to get over him, so they always like Regeki him. And I'm like, okay, he takes a card out of your hand. Virgil, he's pretty good actually, because he can spin he can spin the pendulums and the scales as well, so they don't get their destruction effects. And he also draws you a card. That's pretty nice. Only 2 Dante, because I couldn't find space in the extra deck for the third one. And you don't actually really make 3 ever, I found. You only really need 2, because you can just sear recycle them all the time. 1 Leviair for Phantom Knight plays, and if you like allure a relevant BA and banish it, you can just get it back with Leviair. 1 Mech-Quipped. Depending on the matchup, sometimes I don't like turboing Beatrice turn 1, because then if she gets like kaiju'd or answered in any other sort of relevant way, you just don't get her effect, and you're like, wow, I invested 3 cards into that, and that feels really bad. But sometimes you also want the Farfa during your opponent's turn, and this is a quick effect detach, so you can just overlay like Tour Guide Farfa into this to have the Farfa effect during your opponent's turn without overextending for Beatrice. Nightmare Shark with Barbar, 4 game, 29,000 in time. It's pretty good. Grand Pulse, he destroys back row, relevant against Pendulum. Sometimes you run into people who like to set 5, and you're like, okay, I guess I'll start making that set 4 instead. 2 Break Swords, because it's Phantom Knights, that's really it. You can make multiples of him and actually use his secondary effect a lot to make the Dark Rebellion Ixies Dragon, or the Rhapsodian Berserk. Right now I'm running Rhapsody as a second Dark Monster because he can banish from the graveyard, so you can like hit a True Draco's continuous spells or traps, or even like banish an ABC piece if they have only one and it's relevant. The 1 Beatrice, and I ran F-Zero because I'm still stuck in 2015 and I'm afraid of Cosmos. I didn't make it once. I would probably replace it with an Acid Golem because having a 3k beat stick on demand is a lot better than whatever he does nowadays. And then for the last monster, 1 Decode Talker. I didn't think I would ever make it, but it actually ended up being relevant a lot of the time when pushing for game, because like if your opponent destroys your Beatrice, you special summon Sparkle Dante, and then you can also like Beatrice effect to send a Seer or something before they destroy it to special summon a Dante. And then if you have like the correct setup in your graveyard with Phantom Knights, you can actually put out a lot of damage out of nowhere by going Break Sword, destroy something, special summon 2 Phantom Knights from grave, overlay Dark Rebellion, and then this gives you the extra zones for it. And then also just clearing out like spare Dantes or a Beatrice that you don't need sometimes if you really have to is really strong. Yeah.
What's up, guys? Sorry about cutting the video short. The tournament organizer was trying to get us out of there, and we didn't want to overstay our welcome, so we decided to pick it up, and I'm just going to finish the side deck for you guys here. Yeah, so he plays 1 Maxi, 1 Gamma Seal, 3 Artifact Lancia, 3 Vanity's Fiend, 1 Regeki, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 Anti-Spell Fragrances, and 1 Imperial Order. And he sent me some things about why he plays this. Maxi, he said it's not too relevant in the main deck right now. It usually just draws you 1 card against most decks, and he'd rather have other cards than just a on your opponent's turn upstart. Gamma Seal, he only plays the 1 because, like with the Slumber, he doesn't need both of them or he doesn't need more Kaijus in this because he's maining the 2 Dark Kaijus, and to be able to give them Gamma Seal and then summon the Dark one for him, he's good enough with just that. And also because you can send Kaiju Slumber off of Beatrice, which allows you to then add a Kaiju on your turn, which is pretty nice. 3 Lancia, this is for like the, it's good against ABC, it keeps him off Buster for a turn, it shuts out Invocation on the Invoked deck, and it keeps, we have a Infernoid player at our locals that does really well every week, so he said he puts this in there for the random Infernoid players you might see. Vanity's Fiend, he said, because from the beginning of time when he started playing BA, the always special summon a BA, summon Vanity's Fiend was always a great play. So he said he still has it because you never know when it's going to shut somebody out. Regeki Dark Hole, obviously just board wipes, generic board wipes. They're strong for going second, especially since he can just then make his Dantes and do whatever. So he plays the Regeki Dark Hole for that. Anti-Spell Fragrances. The Pendulum deck is probably the best deck right now. Arguably, it's just got a ton of answers to almost everything, and it sets up a really strong board turn 1. and the anti-spell really helps with shutting that deck down before it can get going. So yeah, that's why he runs the anti-spell. And then Imperial Order, what did he say about that? Shuts out Pendulum. He's not too sure about the Imperial Order. He never felt like he wanted to side it in, which I can truly understand, because there's like, he's not really afraid of True Dracos all that much, and I don't think anyone should be. So Imperial Order is kind of like a good card. I think if you were going against like the Draco ABC deck, where they are playing a ton of field spells and a ton of like cards like set rotation and terraformings and stuff like that, where a hand of 5 spells for them is a good hand. Having a card like Imperial Order or Anti-Spell against a deck like that, it's just like an auto win in that situation. So, yeah, Ka's been playing BA since the deck came out, so it's one of the only decks that he played. He took it to when it was the hand loop down in Pittsburgh, in YCS Pittsburgh, when it was the Fusion sub. He played BA there. Didn't do too well because he couldn't hand loop like the Zoodiac players could, and because Masterpiece was gross and he kept playing against those decks. But, I mean, he did really well, and we're really happy to see what happens with this Saturday at the UDS. Peace.